because I like to take them out and clean them. I guess you already see them falling in there. That is the fulcrum. Doesn't that sound like fulcrum, like something Leonard Nimoy would say in Star Trek? We're landing on a planet fulcrum. Welcome back to the community, everybody, and thank you all for being part of it. Today, we're going to go ahead and start on the swing axle. Yes, I'm doing body work in the background. And as I said, if you missed the last video, that's going to all be merged together in a larger video. I don't think anybody wants to watch me keep sanding, put body filler on, and prime, but you will see all the painting, okay? But I'm doing that in the background, and we'll do a time-lapse video on that later. The swing axle, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to drain it first. I'm going to wire wheel all of it and clean it up because I don't want this dirt getting inside of the transaxle when I go ahead and, start pulling stuff apart. When I'm doing the wire wheeling, I'm going to time-lapse a lot of that, and I probably won't show the whole cleaning process because there's no point in that part. You're going to get bored. But we're going to pull these axles. We're going to put new gasket shims in there. We're going to pretty much do everything. Hopefully it helps a lot of folks out. And I'm going to show you the proper way of shimming them when you're putting it back together. So let's go ahead and get on it. But first, if you haven't had the chance yet, make sure you subscribe to VW Trends Magazine. I'm really a big supporter of them, and they do support me also. Pop down into the description below and go ahead and subscribe to VW Trends. They do a lot of stuff for us DIYers and things of that nature. So give it a shot. All right, let's drain the transaxle first. Or should I say swing axle? So first things first, do the best you can to set it up where you can, okay? We got to drain the transaxle first, okay? Or if you want me to call it a swing axle, I will. Transmission. Now, you want to loosen up the fill port first. Do not pull the drain plug unless you know the fill port is going to be able to be removed. Let's do that first. It's right here. It's a 17 millimeter. So we're going to put a breaker bar on it. There we go. I don't know how easy it's going to... Oh, okay. Well, that came loose pretty easily. Sometimes they're stubborn. Now, when you're doing this, if you run into the Allen head being corroded or filled with caca, just take a pick and get in there and clean it out. After you do that, take your Allen head socket, tap it with a mallet lightly so it goes in and seats all the way so that you don't round it out. Because if you do that and it rounds out, you are in a jam. So clean it out real good. I'm going to go ahead, pop it loose, and we'll start draining the fluid out. What we will end up doing too is like removing our Bowden tube. Always buy a new one if they're dry rotted, and a couple other things. I know, I talk a lot. Now, something I did forget to bring up, of course, some of you may not, but mine has a drain plug here and a drain plug here, just like you see in this photo. Now, of course, you're going to drain both. I've seen people asking that before, but you only have one fill port. See it there? Okay. We've already loosened that. We're going to go ahead and pull these. When we do, once they're pulled, then I will pull the fill port completely out to give some air circulation and let it drain. Rear one first. No specific order really matters. I already tapped this in with a hammer so that the Allen head goes in the whole way. And come on. There we go. Come on, get out of there. I'm sure I'll have it all over the floor before it's over. Now, while you're watching this part, I can assure you when we go to do all the work and axle work, I'm putting it up on a table where it's easier for you to see everything. Okay, let me get a ratchet. I'm getting frustrated. There we go. I wanted to break it loose with the breaker bar. It's just easier. Okay, before I get it flying up, making a mess. Come on, get in there. Okay. My IRS only had one on my 73. It's okay. This has two. All right, now I can just use the socket. It's hard laying on your back doing this crap while you're filming. And it's going to come out all over my hand, so I'll complain to you, so you can be assured of it. Oh, it didn't. Sure the next one will. Oops. There we go. Okay. I'll explain something while this is draining. Come on. There we go. Ooh, nice and black and crappy. We'll check the drain plugs and see if anything's on them. Usually these old swing axles are pretty tough. At least that's what I'm told. I can't verify that. Mine's a 68, so it actually has the long axles. There we go. All right. I'm going to level that up so it drains properly. And you're going to let this go for a little while because you want as much out of there as possible. And here's why. When you have a swing axle, that's what you have. And I'll get it cleaned up. It came out of the ends. But you do want to drain it all out because as soon as we pull all this apart, we want as much drained out as possible. So we're going to let this drain out. I'm going to check the drain plugs to see how much crap's on them. Not that I can prevent damage, but I want to see. Usually there's a little cuck on them. They should have magnetics on them. And then we're going to go ahead and wire wheel and clean this up really nice. I'm going to time lapse a lot of the wire wheeling, and I'm not going to show all the cleanup to that because you'll just get bored and then you'll complain. All right, now before I wire wheel this, and I will time lapse some of it, and then I'll cut some out where you don't have to watch. Do not remove your axles. Put your drain plugs and fill plug back in so you don't get any dirt inside of the transmission, okay? We're going to check the front shaft here in a minute. I'm going to show you something I'm going to do before we get the wire wheeling, and I'm going to talk to you about something very important about these outer bearings. So bear with me 1 second. Here, I'll show you, and then we're going to start cleaning it up and start ripping it apart. All right, so this is the older style throw-out bearing. Now, my shaft is nice. There's very tiny bit of play, but not like some like you see. So I'm sure there has to be a little bit of movement, but this should be perfectly fine. I'm not fond of the older style bearings. I like the 71 and up models where they had the sleeve on them. So we're going to take this arm out. We're going to take it all apart, and we're going to upgrade, like you see here, to the new conversion style. And we're going to go ahead and put that on, and that way we don't have to worry about bearing failure with this falling apart. We're going to see if we have to put new bushings in the arms. Hopefully not, but we'll see. But we're going to take that all apart. We're going to take the outer ring off. We are going to remove the housing on the side and put new shims and gaskets in here and clean up the fulcrum plates inside the carrier and everything. Something else important, your bearings here. Now, I got a puller to pull these bearings. When you put the bearings back in, you're going to see me do something different. Do not, I repeat, do not take a chisel, even if it's flat, on this bearing and pound it back in. When you do, you're putting pressure on the inside of your carrier differential when you're pounding on that bearing, and it's not good for the bearing either. So I'm going to show you a little trick that you can press this bearing in without any special tools. All right, enough about that. I was letting you know what you're going to end up seeing through part 1 and part 2. So let's go ahead and get started. So if you think it's you that just has troubles with stuff going wrong, here is the side cover to the transaxle, swing axle. This Bowden tube has probably been in there for 60 years. I lubricated it, heated it, was pounding on it, and it broke off the side cover. So I'm going to go ahead and clean up the transmission, and I did find one on eBay real quick, another side cover used that's in good condition. I'm going to order it right away. I see this job's turning out to be crappy, so, you know, it's okay. We'll make it right. These things happen. That is broke off of the side cover. So it is what it is. I'm going to need a new side cover. I don't want to buy an aftermarket one, so I got a hold of Evan, my buddy that had the salvage yard, and he did say he probably has one. However, I found this one on eBay too, and it seems to look okay. So I'll get another one. In the meantime, we'll start tearing this apart. I did clean the transmission up. It's not as clean as I want it to be yet, but I got all the heavy stuff off. So I'm going to remove the axles, okay, and show you the technique that I do. And then we'll go ahead and cap everything off so dirt don't get in, and then we'll flip it over and clean the rest up. So 13mm bolts here first. Now, I did actually go ahead and wire wheel around these. You know what? Let me hit them with some PV real quick. Can't hurt. Every little bit helps. There's one underneath. There we go. But I wire wheeled the threads and everything, so they should come off fairly easy. We'll see right now. Now remember, don't leave the lock washers on because they will fall inside the transmission when you take them off. Let me get my little magnet. Alrighty. Get them little magnetic ashtrays is what I call them. It helps when you toss your nuts and bolts in there. All right, let's get the washer off. Take your time. Don't rush. This is the part I hate where, oh, there it is. Okay, washer. Okay, now I'll speed this up a little here. I think the stud came out, that one. Yep, it did. No big deal. And the washer is with it. Alrighty. Now, this bearing is still pressed in here. And like I said, don't go beating on it when you're putting it back in. I'll show you a technique for that. I've seen guys smack on this with a hammer to pop the bearing loose to pull the axle tube off. But I'm going to try something different and we'll see if it works. All right, so you see the setup I have here. We're going to go ahead and give it a try. Let me grab a ratchet wrench too. Hopefully these jaws hold on to this thing. I'm going to try to pull the bearing. It's hard because I don't have nobody to hold the transmission here. I wished I did, but I don't. So I thought I put it in gear. It's still spinning, but it looks like it's pulling off now. Come on, board, cooperate. This isn't fun. There we go. And it's coming slowly. Oh, it's getting tighter. Oh my goodness. There we go. I don't want to hit it with an air gun because I don't know if it'll screw the splines up. Come on. Sorry. Okay. Oh. Set this here a minute. I have the mic close to me, so I might sound like Darth Vader breathing here. Okay. And off it comes. Give me a second here. Phew, does that stink? Gotta love rear end grease. Okay. Bearing is still in there. So I still got to get that out. But it came off the spline. This thing's been together forever. All right, the bearing is still in there, so I got to figure out how to get it out of there. This didn't come apart the way I wanted it to. However, I'm trying to be easy. This is an old German bearing, and it's spinning extremely smooth. So I don't want to ruin it, that's for sure. Oh, okay, so you've seen that the bearing had broke loose from the axle, but it's stuck in the axle tube. Now, what I'm going to do, and it should work fairly well, I know that you have to press these in and they're always tight, blah, blah, blah. But I cleaned around here with a little wire brush, a brass brush, not a steel one. Don't be an idiot and get crazy. I sprayed it with PB Blast and I let it soak. Now, I know I said don't be beating on this when you put the new bearing in or the used bearing. I'll explain why in the end of this part 2 series. I'm going to tap this lightly. If it don't come out easily, I'll do a different method. So let's see if the bearing comes off of this. We're going to tap it here evenly all the way around. Don't smack it hard. You don't want to screw up your differential. So we're going to go ahead and here it comes already. There it is. Right there. Okay. Now it's stuck on there. It's okay. Watch this. Come on. And there we go. Now, if you notice, here, wait, let me get the camera close. 1 second. Be patient. When you pull this bearing, you're going to see a spacer here. Okay. So we're going to take our bearing off. This bearing is like brand new. It's German. Okay. And you have your spacer. Make sure you remember which way it goes on. It has a tapered end. I hope I'm in the camera. There's a tapered end, which will go this way. Tapered in. Okay. But we'll go over that when we put it together. Getting ahead of myself. Shut up. All right. So we're going to slide this out. There we go. This will want to move around like a wiggly worm. We're going to put the axle tube aside for right now. Okay. Now, I'm not going to pull the daisy out. This is the daisy, although it feels really tight. There we go. Okay. I don't want to take it out yet. There's enough dirt getting in there. You don't want dirt getting inside the transmission. Cole, are you paying attention? Come on, Cole. Focus, brother. I'm just kidding around. It's a good friend of mine's son. He's going to be doing this job. So what we have here is gaskets known as shims. So we're going to pull these off, and I'm going to explain something like make sure you rip one, okay? Oh, we're not reusing it anyhow. Come on. Woo, he's been on her since 1968, huh? These are shims. Now, there are red that they used back in the day, and there are also a tan color. There's another one there. The red are 14 thousandths, and I don't like this dirt coming off of there. And the tan are 7 thousandths. Now, while I'm taking this off, I'm going to run my mouth, and of course, you got to listen. They only come now, like M&M only come with 7 thousandths. So I'll show you something in a minute here. Let me speed the film up. Give me 1 second, and I'm going to explain something very important. Okay. The point being, there is two that came out of here. Now, one is red and one is tan, and it's very hard to tell. And they say, measure the thicknesses so you know what they are. Yeah, sure. Okay. They've been smashed for 60 years. To obtain the 21 thousandths, we're probably going to have to use 3 shims. But in part 2 of the video, I'm going to show you how to check for the proper slack you need, or almost like shimming. So I'll show you them in part 2, but let's pop this cover off, go the rest of the way, and I'll explain a little bit more. So sit tight. So let's take our daisy out. Ain't that a daisy? Rest in peace, Val Kilmer. And there is your daisy. It is plastic. Be easy. I would rather keep the original. They're usually okay. So clean it up gently and behave with it. Don't try throwing it like a damn Frisbee. Now, what to do, and this can't hurt, is to take, no, back down, a nice clean plastic bag that says Home Depot on it. Okay. I'm going to shove that in here just to keep the dirt out of there. We can't pull the axle shaft out yet because there's a snap ring holding it. And yes, we will do that in part 1 here. But just kind of pack a nice Home Depot bag in there. If you don't have one, go to your local Home Depot, grab a bag, and run out the door. Okay. Time to remove these. Take a little wire brush. You can get them at the dollar store, a little brass brush. Clean the threads first. I see guys trying to pull these off and go, oh, they're not coming off. Well, you know what? Clean the threads, PB blast them, let them sit for a few minutes, and they'll come off. This one here, the stud's coming out, which is perfectly fine. But take it easy. Remember, mine's been on there forever. The tube would not come out, your Bowden tube, and crack. So I had to get another one. Yeah, it happens. All right. Hang tight. I'll speed it up. There we go. There's a flat washer and a lock washer. You're going to want to clean all this stuff up really, really nice, just to impress your friends. Well, somebody put a lock washer and a wavy washer and a flat washer, so somebody had that apart. Don't know. Okay, do we have all the washers off? Yes, because we don't want to drop a bunch of crap in here. All right, give me 1 second. Alrighty datey. We're going to go ahead and pour clean Home Depot bag out of there. Now, inside here, you're going to see a snap ring and a spacer. And let me see if I can get a close-up picture here. So the snap ring is right there. This axle will not pull out with the snap ring in there. I guess you know that now for me bringing it up. Now this here, my hands are going to be in the way a minute. But obviously with the snap ring, when you go like that, it squeezes it together and it pulls the clip out. But I'll show you once I get up close to it. I got to block you a minute because I actually can't see what I'm doing. Oh, slipped off. It's a big snap ring. All right, so you see the snap ring in there, right? I had to squeeze it together and get it out of there. And there was no way my hand and the camera was going to see that. So lift up on your axle tube a little bit. Let's get our little happy snap ring out of there. Slide it off. Now, I don't believe it matters, but I'm a weird guy. So I'm going to put it in exactly the same way it came out, just in case it's bent to a certain direction, you know, obviously. So just mark it so that you can put it in the same way. What you're going to do next is look inside of there. You're going to see a spacer. I'm going to pull it out with my little magnet from the dollar store. Well, actually, it was in my wife's craft room, and I took it. And I don't think she'll be watching this video. I doubt it. Move the axle a little bit if you have to, and here it comes. Now, as you're going to notice on this spacer, which is important, whenever I decide to get it out of there. Come on, you idiot. There we go. Now, be careful because the axle can fall out. There is a notch on this. It only goes in one way. However, again, mark the top of it so it goes back in the same way. Don't put it in that way. Put it in that way. Does it matter? How do I know? But there's a notch on there. So we're going to mark this, clean it up, and it goes back in the same way. All right, next. Cole's like, come on, dude. Seriously. All right. Now, we are going to pull out the axle shaft. Now, one thing to note is there is fulcrum plates in there. They're inside there on each side of the axle tube, the axle shaft. I'm trying to get some light in here. So if one falls, you'll see it. Let me set the light up here. Okay, so pull it out gently. Come on, the whole thing wants to pull out. Come on. It's going to be stubborn. There we go. Hold your finger. I'll show you in a minute. No damage, which is good. Sometimes if you see them chipped or what have you, well, then you know it's damaged. Now, when you're pulling that axle shaft out, make sure this ain't, now don't get nervous because nothing to worry about. Hold something on this part right here. And don't pull the whole guts out. Hold your finger here. Let me get a pointer. Hold your fingers here or here while you're pulling the axle shaft out. You don't want to pull the guts. So next, because I like to take them out and clean them, I guess you already see them falling in there. That is the fulcrum. Doesn't that sound like fulcrum, like something Leonard Nimoy would say in Star Trek? We're landing on a planet fulcrum. So you're going to clean these up really nice, and in part two, I'm going to show you what to do to keep them in place while you're putting your axle shaft in. All right, we got to take the plate off. So what I'm going to do is put the fulcrum plate back in temporarily. Okay, give me 1 second. I'm going to take my Home Depot bag, my clean Home Depot bag, not a dirty one. Okay, we're going to try to knock this plate off of there. This should be fun. There should be some lips to hit. Oh, good, it's underneath. Thanks. And then this right here will hit, and then this here. So let me reposition a tranny a little bit because I got to hit here with a hammer, and here you'll see tabs. Don't wedge nothing in between her. You will screw it up, and you'll be crying. All right, so like I said, there's a little tab here, and then there was a tab here, but it's not there no more. So we're going to pound out on them. Couldn't find my hammer. All right, While a lot of guys just start smacking with the hammer, I like to use a long screwdriver with not so sharp of an end. Now remember, this has been on there a long time. Okay, little taps. Little taps. Don't act like a nut. Or as my new shirt says, yeah, that one. Buy yourself one from the store. Everybody appreciate it. I can't get the... Oh. I should have put this up on a table. You know, why would they put the tab in that location like idiots? Let me see if the hammer can hit it from there. Okay, it's breaking loose slowly. I don't have much to grab onto there. Here it comes. I got an idea. All kind of ideas. Smaller hammer. Let me look under there. It's getting there. On top. Remember, don't put nothing in there to wedge them apart. A little bit at a time. Remember, it's been on there forever and ever. Let me look up top here. Well, wasn't that fun? There's a shim there. Whew. Okay, we got that off. Let's go over some things. Now, leave this bag in there. Take a rag and pull away from you, even a little soft brush, and pull any dirt out that you dropped inside of here, okay? You don't want nothing going inside of there. This here, you're going to be able to put back in if the bearing came out with it. Me, I think I got to press this out and press it into the side replacement cover I got coming since this one broke. So, but this has an O-ring in it that, you know, keeps it from leaking. So once you put this on with the new O-ring, it will keep it from leaking. And then I'll show you in part 2 how to shim the gaskets properly. And once we do all that and put it back together, you should be leak-free. So, all right, so when you take a look here, first of all, here is the outer bearing, and it is the original German. Now, take a look at it close and make sure there's no rust on the bearings, and make sure everything feels tight. Not tight as in not moving. Make sure it spins very smooth. And I'm going to spray some cleaner in there and clean it out very good. And then I'll put a lubricant on it just to get it started a little bit, but you'll get to see all of that. Save these original German bearings if they're good, because honestly, you know the deal with that. Now, on our side cover that we removed. Now, our side cover that we removed, you know, where we broke the Bowden tube off, it's okay. There's another cover on the way. Now, 50-50 shot. I called my buddy Brian, who does transmissions, okay? My bearing pulled off with it. And, of course, I got a little nervous, and I contacted Brian. And he said 50-50 shot. Sometimes they come off with them, sometimes they don't. So what I did is I'm going to take, I'll do it on video on part 2. I'm going to take a brass punch, go through the back inside of here, and I'm going to pop it out of there. You don't want to hit it on this inner race here when you're doing it, and we'll go over that when I pop it off. You want to go deeper in, like in this area here, and push the bearing out. Now, as I showed you, there was a shim on there. Don't lose the shim, and we'll go over it again. I'm just bringing it up. But sometimes these bearings will come out with the housing. This one here is a German bearing, as you can see. It is in very nice condition. So I'm going to clean that out, blow it out with air, give it a little lubricant until it gets its own while running. So that is something that I wanted to bring up, not to bore everybody, but I need to talk about some things like that. So a nice little common practice to do also is take your washers, bolts, nuts, and clean them all up. It really just makes things go a lot smoother. I'm sure that most of you already know this. I just use the basic wire wheel. Just be careful with your fingers. I usually hold them with pliers, and that usually helps out a lot. Those are cheap at Harbor Freight if you need one. But when you have all of your threads cleaned, it makes such a big difference. On the transaxle itself, swing axle, so to speak, I clean the threads up on any studs that's sticking out. So clean them nicely too. It just makes the job go so much smoother. Now make sure when you're cleaning this area that you don't get dirt in there. As you can see, I got a rag stuffed all around there. Now I am gonna go ahead and get the crumb bums out of there and then pull the rag out and vacuum there just lightly. I went ahead and cleaned this all up. I used some triple O steel wool around here very lightly. Don't do nothing harsh, okay? And got it ready. Am I going to wire wheel the whole tranny? I'll get the heavy crud off of it, but I'm not worried about painting it. It's going to be a daily driver. I'm not going to get scored anywhere at the Grand Concourse or whatever in the heck they call it. It's a driver. But I did clean everything up here where it matters, okay? All right, so I hope all that made sense to you. Part 2, we'll be assembling it back together. I'm not going to do both sides in front of you because that's stupid. One thing I am going to do, I'm going to order real quick today the bracket that goes here and see if it works as a replacement, because finding these side covers are not easy when you break that off. So I'm going to order one today, should be here tomorrow from Misty, and I'm going to see if that works as the same dimension for it. Okay, I hope this helps some folks out. I'm not done yet, obviously. So tune in next week and we will do the assembly. The shimming is very important. And in the meanwhile, you're going to see a lot of this all cleaned up by the time I come back because that's too boring to watch. I hope everybody had a very nice weekend.